Mr. K.D. Tripathi, Secretary, Petroleum and Natural Gas, and the chief guest for today's inaugural ceremony. Our distinguished dignitaries on the panel, the distinguished delegates in the audience, the award winners, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me a great pleasure to extend to you a very warm welcome on behalf of the organizing committee of the 7th World PetroCoal Congress. I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to the other distinguished dignitaries on the panel, and above all, Mr. K.D. Tripathi, the Secretary Petroleum, who could take time off his busy schedule, because we all have gone through it and we know how busy secretaries are in the Government of India. On a more personal note, I would like to welcome Mrs. Kumar. Mrs. Kumar is the wife of Mr. Kumar, late Mr. Kumar. And as I said, that it is a real personal welcome to her, because the late Mr. Kumar was the Director Technical in Coal India Limited. And more than nearly 2.5 years that I spent in the Ministry of Coal, he was virtually my right arm, managing each and everything, and maybe that stress took its toll. We have gathered here today to discuss and deliberate on a very relevant and contextual issue, and that is sustainable management of the future energy mix. This is definitely a very challenging task for not only the policy makers in the government, both at the center and the state, but also for the stakeholders, the investors, the financiers. In my present capacity as an advisor to one of the banks, which is involved in the power sector, in the infrastructure sector, we know what level of uncertainty is there in making projections as to what would be the perfect energy mix in the years to come. The nationally determined contributions, the NDCs as they call it, in COP21, where India took the lead and committed itself to a reduction of 33 to 35% in the emission intensity in 2030 over 2005, where India committed itself to ensuring that 40% of the cumulative installed capacity would be non-fossil based by 2030. These have led to a paradigm shift in what would be the energy mix for the future of our country. At the same time, we have to move forward. By 2030, we have to enhance and ensure universal access to electricity. And not only access, but increase the per capita usage of electricity to nearly about doubling it from the existing level to nearly about 2050. I have said this in order to flag the point that the global energy landscape, which includes India, is changing rapidly. Energy mix is shifting, driven primarily by technology improvements and environmental concerns. So much has changed ever since I left the Government of India. Our thermal capacities, in the operations of the installed thermal capacities, we will have to have a change in the mindset, in the change in their operations. They may no longer remain purely as base load operational systems, but as variable output systems in consonance with the increasing solar capacity which is going to come into the system, and which will call for a more delicate, sensitive, and a dynamic grid management where there will have to be a synergy between the thermal generation and the solar generation, along with the storage of energy. In this landscape between the thermal and between the coal-based thermal and the solar renewables, where does gas stand? I'm very happy that we have in our midst Mr. Tripathi, who is the Chairman cum Managing Director of Gas Authority of India. We will have to develop a policy as to where gas stands in this entire energy landscape. Because India, in its wisdom and sagacity, and with a view to a long-term future security, has already entered into agreements for the next 5 to 10 years. And therefore, we have to ensure that the gas-based power stations also find a place in the energy landscape which has to emerge. Very quickly, I'll just flag a few points. We have to develop a policy framework for the long-term sustainability of solar energy with the following tariffs and reducing dependency on subsidies. I'm very happy we have been, Mr. Alok Bharti, my predecessor in the coal ministry, is here. We are very happy to note that what we have been working for may see the light of the day in the current financial year, and that is commercial mining of coal. Because we have been reading the papers that the framework will be ready and there will be blocks which will be offered for commercial mining of coal. We have to balance long-term PPAs in the energy sector with the viability of the distribution utilities. We have to ensure that the Uday scheme takes off because it is critical for the power sector, not only in the near future, but also as a long-term future. I have just flagged, as I said, a few issues, and I look forward to the valuable inputs from the distinguished panel. And in concluding, I wish the deliberations in the conference all the success. Thank you very much.